What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another Manchester City video, where today we're going to be doing, of course, another daily Manchester City transfer update. So before I do crack on with today's video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. We're on that push to 45,000 subscribers, less than 300 subs away, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. Don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up on this video. We're aiming for 300 likes. Also, don't forget as well to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And finally, do go and check out my social media links, which you can find in the description, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. We're going to start off with some contract news. We've got the very latest on Phil Foden. He's confirmed in an interview yesterday after Manchester City's 2-0 win against Wydad in the Club World Cup. Manchester City winning that game by 2-0. I will have some social media posts out for you guys, giving my thoughts and my reactions for you guys to enjoy, including over on my TikTok and also my Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, if you want to go and hear my thoughts on that. But Phil Foden has done an interview after the game, and he's confirmed that in terms of him signing a new contract at Manchester City, there are no talks right now underway. Manchester City want to put Phil Foden onto a new long-term contract, a contract that's more than likely going to be in length of that of matching Erling Haaland. However, I feel like with Man City not currently getting them discussions underway right now, that they're waiting for Phil Foden to find his form once more before putting him onto a luxurious new contract. Phil Foden, of course, scoring and assisting yesterday for Manchester City, says he feels like it's a new opportunity, new season, new me, and hopefully we can get Phil Foden back to his very best. So we're going to move on to the outs, and this is where things start to get really interesting for Manchester City. So we're going to start off first by speaking about an update on Juma Bah, and Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Juma Bah is going to be heading out this summer on loan. There's lots of interest across Europe in signing Juma Bah, including from City Football Group side Girona. They're interested in taking Juma Bah back to La Liga to bring him in on loan. It'll be interesting to see where Juma Bah does end up. Juma Bah, though, does want to be a Manchester City player. He's not interested in continuing too much longer about being a player that's out on loan. So I reckon it'll be the next 12 months, and then he'll want to be around the City first team squad. And I suspect the same is going to be said for Zaveri Naipan, who Man City are going to be bringing in once they decide to announce that transfer. But yeah, both these high quality young players want to be Manchester City players and will be working hard to do so. So both them players are going to be heading out on loan, and Juma Bah confirmed by Fab Rom that he is going to be heading out on loan. Now we've got an update, interesting on this one, on Kyle Walker, and Alex Crook at TalkSport has said that Manchester City are going to have to subsidise the wage of Kyle Walker to make a permanent transfer happen this summer. Kyle Walker has been linked with a move to Everton and also Fenerbahce, where both these clubs cannot afford Kyle Walker's near £200,000 a week in wages. So Manchester City to secure a permanent transfer would need to subsidise some of his wage for the remaining 12 months that he has left on his Manchester City contract. Manchester City are looking for around £4 million this summer for Kyle Walker, and I don't really understand here why, if Manchester City are having to pay some part of Kyle Walker's wage, why we don't just knock that transfer fee on the head and say no £4 million, but in anticipation that you can have Kyle Walker for free, we're not paying any of his wage to meet the best of both worlds, because it just seems like unnecessary paperwork as far as I'm concerned, but here we are. And it's the same situation with Jack Grealish as well. Napoli are really keen, but they cannot afford his £300,000 a week wage. Manchester City will need to subsidise it. They're wanting half of his wage, so £150,000 a week, paying for what is on the remainder of Jack Grealish's contract. He's still got 2 years left at Manchester City on his contract, which works out as £15.6 million that Manchester City would have to pay over the next 2 years to secure a Jack Grealish transfer. Napoli are happy to pay around £45 million, so why don't we just knock that on the head and say, instead of us paying anything towards his wage, why don't you have £30 million for Jack Grealish instead? And the only reason that this cannot happen, and this situation is a very sorry situation with Jack Grealish, and I can argue the same with Kyle Walker as well, is clubs aren't wanting to break their wage structure. If they pay, so Napoli pay £300,000 for Jack Grealish, it's going to upset their wage structure, and a lot of their players will want to be on a similar wage, and your wage structure can get very out of hand. can. So they're relying on Man City here to make these sales happen, and it's very unique situations that we find ourselves in. It can be very frustrating and very annoying, but it's almost like Manchester City in terms of Kyle Walker and Jack Grealish. Very similar situations. They've been backed into a corner when it comes to letting both Kyle Walker and Jack Grealish leave on a permanent basis. The only other way you can handle this is through getting a good loan fee and letting these players leave on loans. So Kyle Walker leaves on a 12-month loan and his contract would be up, and we don't have to think about this at this point next year. And Jack Grealish would then have 1 year left on his contract where he'd have to go out on loan again for a year. So City very much backed into a corner, and it can be very frustrating. Now, moving on to the final transfer means we've got no ins to talk about once more. It is a bit slow out there. It's slow because Man City are at the Club World Cup, and right now a lot of players are on holiday and club officials are on holiday, so it is going to be a bit quiet. I suspect over the coming weeks things will start to liven up with contracts and player sales, and maybe even the potential incomings. I know City were always going to be targeting 4 or 5 players being brought in. We brought in 4, on the verge of bringing in Naipan, which would take us to 5. There is the potential of City doing a little bit more business, but it all depends on who leaves and what direction we want to go in. Anyway, got the latest on Bernardo Silva. He's definitely going to be staying at Manchester City this summer. He's not only been made one of the 4 captains that's been appointed by Pep Guardiola himself, it's very much that Bernardo Silva is Manchester City's first choice captain for the upcoming season. So if Man City win any trophies, then you'll see Bernardo Silva lifting then trophies over the next 12 months. So City win the Club World Cup, it will be Bernardo Silva lifting that trophy. Now, Bernardo does only have 12 months left on his contract, so if he decides not to renew, then it would mean that this situation of him being City captain would only be for 12 months. And I was hoping for some long-term solutions when it comes to Man City's captaincy. It'd be nice to have a captain who's going to be here for, 3 to 5 years, rather than a player who's just, we keep bringing in players who are going to be captain who's going to only be here for a season or two. And in terms of stability, I feel like Man City right now needs some stability, and having a captain for the long term would make a lot more sense. So having a Ruben Diaz or a Rodri or somebody would have maybe made more sense than Bernardo Silva, and had Bernardo Silva as maybe one of the backups. But Bernardo Silva has been selected by Pep Guardiola himself. Pep Guardiola feels like he is the man who's going to help lead Manchester City back to the very top of English football and European football and world football. And I'm not going to argue with Pep Guardiola because of what he has managed to achieve with Manchester City. So Bernardo Silva has said himself that after the game that City played against Wydad, that he's had offers this summer, but with him being made captain, he feels like he belongs at Manchester City. He's going to be taking that role as captain very seriously, which is what we like to hear, and he's definitely going to be staying this summer. At the end of that equation, no move to Benfica, no move to Iberia. Bernardo Silva will be staying at Manchester City. Be interesting to see if City try and put Bernardo Silva on a new contract, because I think he turns, is he 31, 32 years old? He's still got a good 2 or 3 years left at the top end of European football. City obviously chose not to do that with Kevin De Bruyne, and City can be quite ruthless when it comes to players' contracts being burnt down. So it's more than likely going to be the case that Bernardo leaves, but I wouldn't rule out Bernardo Silva signing a new contract. So that's something for us to think about in 12 months' time rather than this summer. Still waiting for further clarification, of course, on what's happening with Ilkay Gundogan. I imagine Kovacic is going to be staying due to him being injured until August. Still waiting for some clarification on the future of Mateus Nunes, and of course the big one is what's going to happen with Ederson, with interest from Saudi Arabia. And if Ederson does leave, will it be Diogo Costa? Will it be somebody else? Are there going to be homegrown players being brought in by Manchester City? Still a lot to sort out this summer, and I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day with my daily Manchester City transfer updates, wherever that be in the world. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Also, don't forget social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships or any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video. We're aiming for 300 likes, and also don't forget to get your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you all again religiously tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. We're going left-handed today for the peace. Ciao for now. Peace. Ciao for now.